Hello and welcome to the Musician's Odyssey podcast, helping you navigate past the sea monsters and storms on your music journey so that you can hit your goals faster and live the dream. Hi, I'm Reagan Ram, the owner and founder of OrpheusAudioAcademy.com, and today is episode number 5, and I am joined by my friend Daniel, the owner and founder of Synth and today we're talking all about sound design. So if you're interested in learning how to actually create your own sounds, your own synth sounds for your projects, then you are in for a treat. Daniel shares a lot of really great practical steps, tips, and tricks on how to go about sound design, specifically if you're looking to learn more about generating more synthwave or retro electronic style sounds. There's a lot of great content in this interview. And there's also a lot of great free resources in the description below that we mentioned throughout this podcast. So be sure to check that out. Otherwise, let's dive right into the content. Hello and welcome. I'm really excited here. I have Daniel with Synth Ctrl to talk about sound design and a bunch of other stuff related to production and creating sounds. And so this is really exciting. I've worked a lot with Daniel in the past. He makes really awesome Serum preset packs. So Daniel, take it away. How did you start with music? How did you learn sound design? And tell us a little bit more about what Synth Ctrl is.
Okay, so you want the long version or the short version?
You can give the long version as long as it's interesting. Okay. Is it interesting?
Kinda.
Okay. Go for it.
So I always like music since I was 12. I started playing guitar, bass, synths, and stuff like that. And as I got older, I was supposed to go to an audio engineering school in Canada, but for some reasons, life gets in the way. I couldn't go, so I started going to law school and finish after 5 years. I finished with my degree and stuff, but I never liked it. But
Sounds boring.
I was good at it, so I have a lot of client stuff. So I save a little, and I bought this place, like the studio right here, like the land, and build it with my savings. And I decided to quit, but with my savings, I went to audio engineering school in Mexico City and build the studio here. So at least law school wasn't. It was for something good, I guess.
Yeah. That's really awesome.
Yeah, I went to an audio engineering school in Mexico City. It's called SAE. They have a lot in, like, I think in Germany have one and stuff like that. It's a very good school. And then I came back here I live in Merida, Mexico. It's like a 3-hour flight from Mexico City. So I came back. I built the studio for the ground up, and
just across the Gulf Coast from me.
Yeah,
just a boat ride away.
Like 2-hour flight. And I don't know. It's I love sound design class in school, and I always loved synths, and I started getting passionate about it. Like, how can you do this? How you could recreate sounds, like, really stuck to me. How can I recreate this and that? So I knew at the moment there was a lot of great and amazing Serum packs out there and companies out there, but it just was like a niche or something. I have to do it. And it was like that. I remember before this, I just have a recording booth in a place I used to rent before, and it was a small place, but I started there, like, with the design of the store, the design of the packages, the idea and creating stuff, and that just got the ball rolling. And it's just one day at a time, right? Because at the moment it wasn't done yet, and that's how it started, like from the need to create it something.
That's really cool, and you got a really nice looking studio there. I might have to do a studio tour or something.
Thank you.
So for someone who's a beginner looking to get into sound design, what would be your advice? How do you get started learning sound design, or what are the sound design fundamentals? Or what is
Well,
sound design really? Maybe even back up a little bit.
well, you can go for two places. You can sound design from a synth uh, point of view, or sound design from movies and creating all these amazing sound effects from a visual standpoint. No, that's two different things, but I love both. So that's so I'm saying. But from to create something from synth, sound design, and stuff like that. The fundamentals, at least for me, how I started and how I got to create these sound banks and stuff like that is just all about the waveforms. Like you need to start different to start to when you hear one to know which one it is, right? Is it a triangle waveform? Is it a sound waveform? Is it both? Sometimes it's both. Like synths have multiple oscillators, so you get to know them like from hearing start to know them, hearing them,
So is
and
the best
then
way to learn them just to kind of just listen to them
play
in a
them
lot?
play them in
Just
your
play them?
synth.
Yeah.
Play them in your synth. There's some good pages. I don't remember their name now, but to help you with that I can send you the links. But it takes time. I remember, like 15 years ago, 16 years ago, I have this, like, I listen to a song and I always wonder how they make this, how they make that. Like it was hard for me to visualize how they were making that. But when you start knowing the synth and and really listening to it, it gets easier. So the fundamentals are the waveforms, always the oscillators. Then if you want to get more and more, we can talk about it later or here. But for me, the fundamentals are the waveforms.
Okay.
Yes.
So then, yeah. So what about like using, where does, I guess from there you have like the oscillators and you've got what, filters and
Well,
LFOs.
if we're about talking about recreating some sound or creating from start, I start with the waveforms. I hear the attack, the release, the decay, the ACDR, ADSR, I don't
Yeah.
ADSR,
Yeah. ADSR.
the attack, the decay, and stuff like that. That's important. The attack is very important. If you are hearing a pad, the attack is longer, like 1 second, 500 milliseconds, stuff like that. So listen to that also. Then you listen to the filter. What is it doing? Is it cutting all the high frequencies? Is it cutting all the low frequencies? Like I love using Serum. So if you hear something funky, there's ones called formant ones inside Serum. Some they have like resonance in some bands. So listen to the filter as well. Then listen to what the like. So right now, like not a trend, but we are trying to recreate analog synths in digital synths. So sometimes you hear these driftings in the not the frequency, in the tuning. So maybe they're assigning an LFO to the fine tuning, so you're getting this wobbly wobbly kind of sound, right? So listen to that as well. And finally, the effects. Listen to the effects. It takes time, definitely, but you have to
So
learn
yeah.
what everything is doing, right?
Right. So it comes down to really understanding, I guess, the synth. So it takes Serum, for example, right? It could be massive, it could be, a bunch of
Yeah,
them out there.
all sense. Yeah.
So just understanding what the controls are, what they actually do, and then when you're then actually being a critical listener and right understanding the attack, right? That's how fast the
Yeah,
sound
yeah.
gets to its peak volume, right? So then
Mhm.
yeah, just listening to sounds, then knowing what decay is and sustain and release, and then yeah, is it wobbling and what causes it? So it's just a matter of kind of being an intentional listener,
Always,
and then just
always.
spending a lot of time doing that.
Yeah, you have to listen closely every detail of the sound. Like, so people don't realize when something finish abruptly, and they say, "Oh, just put your release at zero. You don't have any release." and you don't have a tail of the sound, and sometimes they do a lot of those things in the basses and stuff like that. You have to be very careful of what you're hearing, and try to recreate it. You're gonna fail. I failed multiple times, and some sounds I remember I just couldn't. But when you get better, you just get back to it and you can make it.
Okay. So was there like any like one thing or anything along the way that you found help like speed up your learning curve, or is it just you just got to go through it, you just got to put in the time?
All, as always, YouTube.
Okay.
You find everything in YouTube. There's always good courses out there, sound design courses. I never really took one because I went to engineering school and I have a great teacher. If you are Hispanic, if you speak Espanol, Hispanic, he's called Leo, and he has a YouTube channel, Synth with Leo. He's a great teacher, and just listen, like you say, actively to the sound and try to understand what is happening.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so then, yeah, when it comes to recreating like analog synths inside of a digital synth plugin like Serum, what are the certain elements you do to try to recreate that sound?
The analog synth,
Yeah. So, right. Say you wanted to make a sound that sounds like it came from a Juno or
well, the you have to recreate the chorus because it was famous, right?
the chorus.
So
Yeah.
if you want to make something like the Juno, you just add the chorus, put it at 100, and well, you have to tweak some parameters inside Serum, but just add the chorus and tweak some. I have a blog post about it,
Okay.
and but the fine tuning of Serum of any of your digital synth should be being modulated by an LFO, just
Mm,
a small amount, because analog synths have the thing they do about this is they are electrical the electricity charge. So these
right.
fluctuations in electricity make them drift a little bit when you're playing them. So you are making that. Also, we I like to add a little bit of distortion, like not bit distortion.
Like saturation.
No, not saturation. Which one is called downsample distortion?
Ah,
You add
yeah.
downsample distortion and just something like that. Play with the fine tuning
Okay.
of the oscillators, and
All
you
right.
that analog sound.
Yeah. I know. Like adding resonance to the filter. Right.
Also,
That's like another thing.
yeah, yeah. I like to play with the chorus, the phase. You can modulate the phase of the
Phase. Yeah.
oscillators. Also, that helps a lot. There's
Okay. And so,
a lot of things.
so probably a lot of it just comes down to listening to those old synthesizers and like what do they have going on, what
Yeah,
controls, what effects they have going on, and then
understanding the old
yeah.
synthesizers are well, if you want to recreate like the Juno we said, it was famous because of the chorus. So try to recreate that inside Serum or any BST, any synth you use. And the key to sound design is listening. I can't emphasize that enough. It's just active listening and try to recreate it. That's what I did all the time.
So yeah, it definitely sounds like that would take some time. So
It does.
with that in mind, if you're like a beginner to intermediate, is it worthwhile putting in the time to learn sound design, or are you kind of better off just using presets or even buying preset packs like the ones you create?
I think it is worth, like, I love twitching. Like, if you are a producer and you are producing something unique to you and something very personal, you can use the presets because the presets are great. But sometimes you want something very specific that maybe nobody's ever thought of or something like that. And if you know sound design, you can make these little tweaks to presets that are already great, right? Especially if you are these kind of producers that have a very unique taste or a very unique way of producing. Like, you visualize everything before you start making your track. So that's good. I think it's good to note so you can twitch a little bit the presets you have.
Okay.
Maybe not start from zero, because start from zero it takes time.
Yeah.
But no, like if you're making Synthwave, you can have a bank of Synthwave, but let's say the preset have a quarter note delay, and you just want a 16 note delay. You know how to do it. No, you go to the FX tab, change it. You want a little drift. No, grab an LFO and put it to the fine tuning and stuff like that. But if you don't know anything about sound design, you can't do that.
Right. So yeah, with that in mind, then, like, when it comes to synthwave production, like, what are some things to keep in mind to say you want to create like a synthwave bass? What goes into creating a synthwave bass sound?
That's a great question. Sorry, but there's two type of basses in synthwave. So if you want this sweep kind of long bass, the
Kind of like
main
the Stranger Things kind of bass
yeah
from the
yeah
theme.
yeah the long note, right? Or Kabinski used it a lot.
Yeah.
uh, Carpenter Brut, a lot of great ones. uh, you need The main thing is you have your sound, right? Use an envelope with a long release and a long decay to modulate the filter cutoff, and add some resonance to the filter cutoff, and you will get this sweeping effect. The other type of bass is the one they call running bass lines, short ones, like eight notes bass lines, like which one? Well, the Weeknd use it a lot. Yeah, right. So in that case, you need a short decay and a short release in your envelope, and modulate also the cutoff filter. They are like the both extremes, right? One is sweeping and the one is very short. And try to use so wavetables, maybe square wavetables. A little frequency modulation is great for that also. And you got it.
Nice.
You
What
got
about
it.
a pad?
Uh, uh, well,
Putting you on the spot.
personally, my choice of a path is the attack should be very long, like 1 second, because I don't like it starts very close to the keys. So what's the point of that? So set your attack around 500 milliseconds or 1 second, and route it to your cutoff filter. So the high frequencies start opening slowly, and also drift a little the fine tuning. Use an LFO to modulate the fine tuning, so you get this kind of, well, like wobbly, no, not wobbly, it's like detuning effect, right? So it's
Right.
going one way and another. Drench it in reverb, that's always good, but use the pre-delay, like doesn't start immediately. It's like 15 milliseconds or something like that. You got it.
Nice.
Yeah,
Obviously, we could go through all these, but you actually put together a lesson on synthwave sound design in my course, Synthwave
of course.
Mastery. So
Yeah.
if you want to learn how to create all these different sound synthwave bass, leads, pads, I think you even did a bell and an ARP in there, then Daniel has a whole lesson inside of my course. So if you want to grab that, just click in the description below, or you can go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/synthwave.
Yeah, I just
So
want to add, like, I make that part of the course, but I've seen all the course and it's amazing.
oh,
So
thank you.
please check it out. It's really good.
Well, listen to Daniel. That's all I have to say. So then speaking of synthwave, like, I guess maybe departing a little bit from sound design, like, what are, just in general, what would you say are like some of your top tips for creating synthwave music that maybe are a little bit more that go beyond maybe the obvious things that most people probably know, like having gated reverb on a snare and
Mhm.
having a running bass? Maybe what are some of those more ninja tips or tricks?
Well, that's a hard question. I was
Yeah, I just thought of
use
it now.
yeah, use your in leads. Use well. This applies to all, but not a lot of people do it. In leads, you when you do a lead, you should put your sound in mono and set your legato on, and your portamento crank it up to 100 milliseconds to get this blend of sounds between them. Also, when you are making this, if you want to one note to blend to the other note, overlap it in your MIDI section. So this will trigger the legato, right? So it will
Right,
make
gets a
this,
little glide effect.
yeah, it will make this glide effect that I like it a lot.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that one is good. If you make maybe not synthwave, but if you're going a little bit higher, like cyberpunk, dark synth, stuff like that, go to your FX tab and crank the distortion up way higher, but also modulate it with an envelope. This it gives a nice effect. And recently, I don't know, there's like this song going around in TikTok and Instagram by Tory Lanez. It's called "Hurt Me," and they use an effect that it was hard for me to make, but once I got it, I think it's a great tip. Use an LFO to modulate the reverb, but not the mixed reverb, the the size of the reverb, and
Mm.
just put one or two to the parameter because it gets too crazy. That makes the sound to drift like if you were mixing the fine tuning, but it makes it sound different. It's something very
Huh.
strange. I liked it. I liked it a lot. So that's a great tip. Actually, that's a great tip.
Wow. Yeah, that'd be interesting to try. I've done that. Yeah,
Yeah,
because definitely you might modulate the wet dry, the mix knob of
yeah. No, the
very
size,
common. But yeah,
but
I haven't
a
thought of it doing
little
the
amount.
size, like doing the actual size of the reverb, how big the room is. That's pretty cool.
Also, well, talking about Serum, and also great tip is use an LFO. Well, you can do it like outside Serum and stuff, right? But use an LFO and create a sidechain type of curve, and go to your matrix tab and apply it to your amp. One
Hmm.
quarter note, especially those running bass lines, right? So you get this sidechain effect inside Serum. That's great too.
That's really cool. So yeah, man, it's a wealth of tips right there.
Yeah.
So do you do your own mixing, or do you
Yeah.
just stick with the sound design? Do you have any, like, what are your kind of go to then mixing kind of techniques when it comes to synthwave or cyberpunk?
Mm.
Or maybe that'd be a different question. What's the difference between like mixing synthwave versus cyberpunk?
Well, cyberpunk is very hard, right? So you need to add distortion a lot. I use Ableton, and in Ableton there's an amp. I use that amp to add distortion outside of Serum, and Cyberpunk used to have a lot of harsh frequencies, like around between 7K and 12K. Sometimes you want that, sometimes you don't. So I try to dip that a little bit so it doesn't sound that harsh. So beware of that, because it it is harsh when you add distortion, amp, and stuff like that, saturation. Those things, just dip it a little. And I like to measure in Synthwave. I like to measure my reverb time. Have you done like the math thing to so the reverb is ending when the other note is starting.
Mm,
So just calculate your reverb time so it doesn't overlap that much.
right, doesn't bleed over and kind of get kind
It's
of
exactly,
messy.
exactly
Yeah.
messy. Sometimes you want that, but sometimes you don't. And I yeah, I have like a way of seeing how I mix genres and stuff like that, but I do it one project at a time. Like it's more one project at a time. What do I want from this project? I want the snare to have a gated reverb, so let's make it. I want the kick to punch through all speaker phones or cell phones, stuff like that. Let's grab a nice kick. So stuff like that is, and then you go to your master and apply multiband compression and multiband EQ and stuff like that, and you
Nice.
just go one project at a time.
Right. So then how do you go about like conceptualizing a preset pack and creating a preset pack? Because you've got all kinds of preset packs. You've got synthwave, you've got cyberpunk, you've got dark synth, you've got like chill and vaporwave and synth pop, all kinds of stuff. So like, how do you go about creating that? Do you have to go and listen to a bunch of songs in that genre and kind of break
Yeah.
down sounds, or yeah,
Well,
how do you do that?
for that, obviously, we all have music we prefer, right? So I love genres. Some others I like all music, but some are my favorites, right? But to get to the point to 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 make something in a genre, you got to soak yourself in it. So, for example, my next pack is going to be electropop. So right now I am listening to Madion and Porter Robinson like nonstop, all their songs, all the things they're doing. So I just can like this active listening what they're doing. A lot of glitches in here, some basses like Justice in here. Then there are some chords like Flume. They are mixing a lot of stuff. So, but if I didn't hear it like previously, I will sit in my computer and do how do I do that, right? So I try to always listen. So let, let's guess like I want to start a new Serum pack in August. Maybe 2 weeks late before I start listening to the music in that genre in my car, mostly in my car. so so that's once I get to the studio I do stuff, but once I get out I have playlists, so
Hmm.
I put it on a playlist and listening. Maybe I go to the beach, 1 hour trip.
Nice. Go to the beach. That's a big
Yeah,
tip right there. That sounds no. Go to a place where it's you can be inspired. That's good.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm curious, like just from I feel like just by going through the effort of creating these packs, you probably have learned even more from
yes,
about sound design.
of
Like,
course.
are there a few strategies, techniques, or just elements of sound design that you've picked up just from doing this? Like, wow, I didn't think of doing that before, or wow, that's a really interesting technique that would just be a cool sound to use no matter what genre you're making. I don't know. Is just anything that's really stood out to you that you thought
Yeah,
was really cool?
this is something I learned a while ago, but it really stuck to me once I start making packs like they use organic sounds like guitars, natural bass lines, like indie pop, dream pop. You have all this. If you have like a way to record yourself, so the sound you want, don't use effects, right? So just the dry signal. Grab a C note and record the guitar you want through the amp you want, and when you have this one shot, load it to the wavetable inside your synth. This way you can create organic sounds
Okay,
through a wavetable form. It, a lot of people do it, right?
right.
But it was something that really stuck to me when making something feel a bit more organic, feel a lot more organic, right? So I have my guitar. I don't know if you can see them, but I have a guitar and a bass,
Yeah, I saw that.
and so I recorded through an amp, through something, and then I load it into the wavetable inside Serum, and then you have to tweak a little stuff and stuff like that. But and after that, use the velocity to modulate the level of your oscillator, because guitar players and bass players, they don't always record at the same level. The imperfections of their playing is what it makes perfect. So play a little bit with the velocity of the sound when you're creating, and I love that tip.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've wondered about that because I know you can like put in your own wave tables. I've never gone about really doing that. I've wondered, yeah, like there's organic instruments like you mentioned, but have you ever tried just like recording random stuff around your house or outside or whatever, and use those as wavetables, or does that never really work out?
I've done it, not from the packs. Sometimes I do sound effects from commercials, movies, series, stuff like that sometimes. And I do it with when I have something coming up like that to have a bank so I can use. So I recorded, like, I don't know,
Hmm.
the sound of the cell phone, and I have some banks, like, you can call it effects, right? So, but that those are like personal for me to use, like when they I have to make the sound effects of a commercial or something like that, and I use those.
Okay, so you like basically created your own like Foley. Is that what that's called?
Yeah, yeah. Fall is inside Serum. I don't know why, but I like the way I can, I can play with them a little bit more on inside Serum than outside
Interesting.
Serum.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, how do you go about getting those jobs, being able to sound design for commercials or television? How'd you go about doing that?
That's a great question. When I went to audio engineering school in Mexico City, I work. I was there for a few years. I work in two studios, and they specialize in sound design for movies, commercials, stuff like that. So I saw myself in it, and also, like all everything in life, you create contacts. So when I get back here, people start asking me if I can help them and stuff like that, and I build relationships. Also, it helps that my brother has a production company that
Okay.
that that make this kind of stuff. So he also introduced me a lot of producer houses and stuff like that. So just opening one door at a time, knock 20 doors, get five. But if those five doors you knock give you enough work, you'll be okay. You don't need to work with everyone, just set the relationships you want to cultivate and grow them. that's
Okay.
that's the thing.
So yeah, so if you don't have those kinds of connections, you can is just through like Google, you can look up who's responsible for these television shows, or who or how would you go about finding the people to contact?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know?
I
Okay.
don't know. I don't know that is I well, I have talked to people, like, inside Instagram DMs.
Okay.
They work from making sound design from TV shows and stuff like that. Like, hey, can I
Probably
help?
LinkedIn would work too, huh?
Yeah,
LinkedIn,
sometimes I
Instagram.
like, hey, can I help you? Check my resume. I like the first step is always put yourself there, like in a helping position. Like, can I help you with something? Can I? Oh, I admire your work. How you did this? You did that, and build that relationship through helping, and it will grow. It will grow.
Yeah, that's really good. Off, yeah. So rather, yeah. So when you do reach out to someone, do it from a place of how can you help them
Yeah,
first, and then
yeah,
versus just saying, hey,
yeah.
looking for a favor from someone that doesn't know you.
And
That's
if you
good.
have, and if you have done it before, it helps you have a good website with your work on it, portfolio. Just don't send this video I did. No, it looks more professional if you have a good website made with design. So don't make it just to make it, right. Take your time, hire somebody. You need to hire, especially some we live in a day and age where we think we can do everything, and but you have to surround yourself with people that are better than you. I- that's the truth. That's the only way to learn.
Right. Oh, yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, you can't. That's the problem. Is you can do everything yourself, but can you do everything yourself well? Probably
that's
not.
yeah, yeah,
that's the
yeah.
that's
You
the
can do everything yourself.
mirage, is that you can do everything yourself. But
Yeah, but can you do it well?
right. I mean, that's why
I don't know.
that's why I use your Serum preset packs. I don't design my own sounds there. Um,
It's true. Also, I focus more myself in sound design, and and mixing and mastering. I love to play guitar. I love to play bass. But some people come to me and say, "Hey, do you play professionally? From let's go record this." I know I'm not that good enough anymore because I focus all my attention into doing mixing, mastering, sound design, and I'm not in here is called a musician, session musician,
Yeah,
músico de
session
sesión.
musician. Yeah.
I'm not that. I used to
Hmm.
be great at playing, but I left it because you can focus at everything all at once.
Yeah. So then, speaking of focusing on sound design and creating like preset packs, like how did you decide to start doing that, and how did you end up building Synth Control?
Well, like I said before, it started from a creative standpoint. You know, I'm not gonna say, "Oh, I could do this getting without selling them," but it was just an idea that grew on me. It marinated in my brain for years, and,
Right.
and then one day it was just like, today I start, and I started. How did I grow? Well, I don't know. I don't want to generalize or speak from a general standpoint, but from I've seen or experienced with colleagues of mine, of people I went to school with. You have to treat this as a job. Even if you don't have anything to do today, you have to do something to move forward. So I started that. Also, I have. Sorry, it's raining here. I
No
started like
problem.
working even when I didn't have work. Like, so let's build a portfolio. Let's make sound design for this commercial. It's not mine, but we practice, and soak yourself in your DAW, and treat this as a job. Don't treat it as like I am going to do it 3 hours at a time. I understand there's people who are doing other
So,
stuff. I
so don't
understand
wait.
that
Don't
my
wait until you feel like it. Right. Have a
yeah,
schedule.
yeah. I understand my situation is different. That I'm privileged and to have all of this, but but treat it as a job even when you don't want to. Just try. And creative blocks happens all the time. Just watching a tutorial, stop creating and watch tutorials, listen to new stuff. If you are in the possibility to buy something, a plugin different that you are used to, but you also make it helps you to make something new, do that. So there, we live in an age that there's a lot of possibilities to to get creative. So
Definitely. So then if a producer wanted to start like making and selling their own preset packs, what
mm,
would you recommend they do? Like how did you actually get customers for Synth Control?
that's a great question. I don't know. Just the ball started rolling. Like, I put it out there.
Did you
I
run
put
ads, or is it just
I
from just search, just
I have
Google?
very bad experience with ads. I will we you both, the listeners, we we work in a very small niche, right? So when I went to these ad agencies and stuff like that, I I pay them, I run ads and stuff, but I felt they never fully understand what sync control was, so they couldn't target well, and it just didn't work for me. It just grow organically. So,
Wow,
well,
that's nice.
thinking about that, make content organically,
Mm.
create tutorials, create freebies, create give something to your users that it will get back to your page. Big ads didn't work for me, but that's just a personal experience. I will try again in the future, but for the moment, it was just you have to offer something, not only sell. Offer something, tutorials, tips, tricks, a lot of things.
Right, because you have a blog. I think I
Yeah.
I think I discovered you from a multiplier video where he was using
Well,
your.
that was a good word. Uh, it's not like an ad, but I multiplier Adam. just ask him, hey, can I send you this? If you like them, can we do something? Obviously he has a fee, but he has to accept first if you like your work. And he told me yeah, and it did end up going really well with him. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, in the marketing world, that's called influencer marketing. So you're using content marketing, just putting out tutorials, and then collaborating with influencers. So yeah, that's a good, definitely a good way to grow.
Affiliate marketing is also great,
Hmm.
but I think you have to, well, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but in my personal opinion, it's better if you build a relationship with the people you're working with,
Hmm.
because I have affiliates that they do their work, no? But it's harder to get along, and you're gonna be speaking with them constantly and stuff like that. So choose the ones you want to work with closely, so you build your inner circle and help each other out. That's the
Definitely.
main point, to everybody to grow, right? So that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean that's what we've done. I've
Yeah,
really appreciated working together. It's been a lot of fun.
yeah, me too.
So I guess transitioning back into the production side of things, you mentioned you not just sound design but also mixing and mastering.
Mm.
So what goes into mastering for synthwave or any of these kind of retro electronic? Is it any different than just the normal mastering tips you see out there on YouTube? Is there anything specific? Like, are you adding tape saturation, or is there anything unique you're doing when you go about mastering?
Well, mm, I try to focus my multiband compression a little bit more in the low end, because the bass is so important in this genre, especially when you have the running bass, right? So I try to get the kick and the bass very glued together with multiband compression. And then I like to use an imager, a multiband imager, also have one, and just crank the high frequencies all open in the spectrum, but your low frequencies just put it like in mono. Well, not in mono, because some bases need to be in mono, some bases not close to mono, but a little bit wide open. And that's generally what I do to Synthwave.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
but I approach mastering almost the same. My mixing is what it changes sometimes. Like I mix things differently, but I approach my mastering very similar.
Okay, what's next for synth control? I know you said you had a electro pop pack coming out. Is there anything else you have in the plans?
Well, we have a lot of things trying to get the roll bowling. We want to start making our own plugins.
Ooh, nice.
We want to make our first contact instruments. Want to get to contact, and those two things are my main focus right now. Also making the packs, and just keep the quality content we always have, and recreating more songs. I love doing those. Well, I'm going to start making videos about the songs I recreated.
Okay,
So
awesome. Nice.
tutorials about the blogs, so I can put the video inside the blog and reference the blog outside in YouTube and stuff like that. So, but it's a lot of work. It's only me, so
It's only you. Wow, man.
so,
So that is a
so
lot of work. So
yeah,
that's really cool. Well, that's exciting. Remember, if you want to check out Daniel's packs, just go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/synth control. And you can also use my code OAA at checkout to get 20% off. So you want to get a discount, definitely check out his packs. So many good ones. I've done a bunch of tutorials using them. So I'll link those in the description below. So that's really cool. So any last words of advice or encouragement that you have?
yeah, yeah. First and foremost, music is the main thing, right? We are all music lovers in here. We love making music, so don't forget that, and just keep making it day after day after day. It's a long process. I've been doing 15 years this or more. I have books in there about mixing, mastering, all kind of books. So it's just one step at a time. Don't lose focus or hope. There's room for everybody in here. Just find out your niche and let's do it.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on. If you guys have any comments or questions, be sure to leave those below. Otherwise, have an awesome day. And thank you so much for coming on, Daniel.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and have a great day.
Hey, if you found this podcast valuable and you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button and click subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes we release. And if you're listening on a podcasting platform, then it'd be a huge help if you could go ahead and leave a 5-star review, as this helps other independent music artists find this content in the future. And if you're hungry for more content that can help speed you past those sea monsters and storms on your music journey so you can reach your goals and live the dream, then be sure to click the video playing on the screen right now if you're watching on YouTube, as that will take you to a previous episode of this podcast that is chock full of value. With that, have an awesome day, keep creating, and I'll see you in the next episode.